Today these are melancholy reminders. Yesterday they were full of life. Centuries lie compressed in their ruined battlements, and on the remains of the walls are etched blood and glory, lost battles, victorious wars, the very tumult of history. So even though time has pledged them to silence, these forlorn monuments have tales to tell. Subah hai Banaras, Sham hai Awadh, Shab hai Malwa. Generous in its climate, the plateau of Malwa is rich in its soil, rich in the rivers that flow through it. There is the hallowed Kshipra, enduring witness to centuries of Indian history. It was here that the celebrated Vikramaditya ruled and patronized art, science and literature. In his court lived Kalidas. Much has been written about him, and much more will no doubt be written. But what he himself wrote soars through the ages. Raghuvansh, Adhignan Shakuntalam, Megdutam, these are imprints of immortality. On the banks of the Kshipra, in whose praise Kalidas sang with so much lyricism, is another hallowed place, the city of Ujjain. The history of the city dates back to a remote time. Ujjain is still a vital city, its people, in common with the rest of the Malvis, steeped in traditional culture, simple, industrious. The Malvi dialect is sweet. So is Malvi music. Ujjain, the city that has lived through so many stirring times, still attracts the devout. The year long, the devout pay homage to Lord Shiva in the famed Mahakal temple. The temple is one of the centers of Shaivite worship in India. The idol here is one of the 12 Jyotirlingas in the country. Here, every 12th year, the Kumbh Mela is held. Someday, perhaps, Ujjain will once again be a great seat of learning. Witness to this possibility is the Vikram University, named after Vikramaditya. Another big city in Malwa is Indore. A modern city, its rise began with the rise of the Marathas, and Rani Ahilyabai Holkar was its builder. Today it is an industrial center of importance. One of Indore's attractions is the Kanchka Mandir. This temple is one of the most holy places for the sect of Digambar Jains. Malwa is also a place where the crafts flourish. In Indore, for example, toys made out of leather are a speciality. If the great beat of creation is absent in these colorful specimens, they at least speak of an industriousness and an earnest desire to make what pleases the eye. On Malwa's fringes is another of India's sacred rivers, the Narmada. On its banks, a short distance from Indore, is Maheshwara, a town known centuries ago as Maheshmati. Once a part of the Parmar Empire, it languished until the time of Rani Ahilyabai. This memorial to her speaks of one of the most extraordinary women in Indian history. Malwa has a number of places of importance to people of many faiths. One such is the Bavan Gaja Hill near the town of Badwani. Here, cut into the rock face, is a colossal statue of Gomateshwar, one of the great teachers of Jainism. As Dhar, once famous as Dharanagri, comes into view, centuries roll back to the days of Raja Bhoj, a great patron of literature and the arts. Bearing his name stands the Bhojshala, a seat of learning studded with quotations from Prakrit and Sanskrit texts. Perhaps no other place in India is as steeped in romance as Mandu is. Known as the City of Joy, it was once a retreat of the Parmar kings. The early Muslim conquerors showered it with palaces, mosques, and pavilions of relaxation. Now, only these lonely, deserted monuments remain. Time has eaten into the Jahaz Mahal, the ship palace. Desolate stands the Jama Masjid, an imposing structure modelled after the great mosque in Damascus. A reminder of the stirring times of Hoshan Shah, Malwa's great warrior king, is this magnificent tomb. A stirring chapter in history has come to rest. Over Mandu and its crowded life presides the poignant love story of Baz Bahadur and Roopmati. Mandu marks a page in Indian history, Roopmati and Baz Bahadur, a chapter in human relationship. On the southern slopes of the Vindhyas are the Bagh caves. These, dating back to the 5th century, were Buddha viharas, monasteries where monks could meditate on the teachings of Lord Buddha. The frescoes here are in the great tradition of the Indian creative impulse, as arresting as the frescoes that have made Ajanta a world-famous name. These frescoes are not only religious in character, but also illustrate the social life of that period. Where there is water, life endures. So surrounding this gentle lake is Bhopal. Perhaps it is as old as tradition claims it to be, founded in the 11th century by Raja Bhoj. Bhopal was the seat of the state ruled by Nawabs. There are many mosques here, raised over many centuries, bearing the taste and yearnings of different generations. There is the Moti Masjid, the Pearl Mosque. Then there is the Jama Masjid itself, its minarets reaching into the far sky, its gold-encrusted domes shimmering in the evening's last sunshine, calling the faithful to prayer, to the day's obeisance before darkness settles. Bhopal, now the capital of Madhya Pradesh, is a busy growing city. But there is still an old world charm about it. The zari work of Bhopal is famous. Supple, sure fingers, with memories of past excellence, create a variety of articles out of flimsy thread. The past comes back again with the temple at Bhojpur. Named after Raja Bhoj, the temple is an 11th century structure enshrining the highest Shiva Linga in the country. Time has little meaning. Centuries stand still in Malwa. For here, a few miles away from Bhopal, stands the Sanchi Stupa, surrounded by monasteries. To this place in ages long past, in the great times of the Emperor Ashok, came those who had been summoned by the light of the Enlightened One. From here, the voice of the Buddha was carried to the far corners of the world, a resonant voice with a gentle message, a message of liberation from the self. The four gateways of Sanchi represent the finest flowering of early Buddhist art. From Sanchi, history rolls forward to the time of the Guptas. Here at Udaygiri, around the beginning of the 5th century AD, monks and priests cut into the rock face the images of their devotion, the measure of their longings. Most important of these is of Lord Vishnu in his incarnation as Varaha, the great boar, who rescued the hapless earth from the grip of a demon of the ocean. Nearby is the Udeshwar temple, built by the Parmar king Udayaditya of Malwa in the 11th century AD. The temple soars into the sky above, beckoning, as it were, to the upward journey all have to make, to reach the fruition all should strive for. It is a temple dedicated to Lord Shiva. The town of Chanderi reached its zenith in the time of the sultans of Malwa, and many fine monuments from that era still stand here. But Chanderi is more famous for its delicate handloom weaving. The skill of these talented weavers has justly made the Chanderi handloom a pride to own, a privilege to wear. The weather-beaten facades of these monuments have seen Malwa's triumphs and failures, the mingling of people and the fertilization within a common fold of many religions. They endure as Malwa itself endures, a land where the pulse of history beats strongly, persistently, creatively. Malwa